It makes you look really self-centered, boring, not interesting, and just very flat. Hello, my name is Annika, and today we're going to talk about 3 mistakes that I see all the time in social interaction when you first meet someone that really kill your first impression and that make you look boring. It's summer 2022. Every weekend I've been meeting new people on the beach. I have had so many new small talks with new people, and I have observed 3 different things. So the first thing that makes you look very, very boring in the first interactions is when you don't ask enough questions and you don't show interest. So for example, if you introduce yourself to another person, you don't really hear their name, just ask for it again. And then if you still don't hear it, even though it gets awkward, just ask how it's spelled, how you say that, ask some more things about their name in case you didn't hear it. Let's say they're called Daniel, like a very common name, then okay, maybe they're not, but then you can just ask questions about other things. Just show genuine interest. And that actually in turn makes you as a person look more interesting as well. Mistake number 2 that I see all the time, because within the first questions of getting to know someone, people ask you, where are you from? Here's the big international community, and here you get asked all the time, where are you from? So there's a simple answer to that, but a lot of people make the answer very, very complicated, especially mixed people. I'm mixed myself, so I'm definitely guilty of this. I definitely did that before, but instead of saying I'm German, and then just move on to a different question, just move on to a different topic, to talk about a different commonality, talk about anything more interesting than the heritage. You spend a lot of time answering the question, where are you from? By saying,
okay, well look, I'm half German, I'm half Chinese, but I grew up in Germany, I grew up with my mother who's from China, and I grew up with the culture because I got raised by my mother.
Blah, blah, blah. And you just talk so much about yourself, and the question was only where you're from. Where you're from is not a deep question. It's not a question that you should elaborate too much on and talk about too much about yourself when it's just simple small talk. Really try to be more curious about the other person than to talk about yourself. Just say what you identify most with, like for example where you grew up with, what culture you're nearest to, and say I'm Spanish or wherever you're from, you know. And then afterwards, if they ask you more questions, hey, but you don't look German, you don't look Spanish or anything like that, it's not an information that should be held secret. If they just ask you where you're from, don't give them the whole story right away. Sometimes it's cooler if they find out that about you later. For example, for me, I really like it when I tell people I'm German and people don't know that I'm half Chinese, and they found out later that I'm half Chinese. I think that makes you a little bit more interesting as a person, because you're not laying them all out, all your information about your personal life, but they're finding out slowly. And that's a better way to make you look a little bit less boring, a little bit less self-centered, a little bit more interesting. Simple questions, simple answers. Okay, number 3 goes along the same line, which makes you look a little bit boring in my opinion, which is when people ask you, how old are you? People like to do the guessing game. Not a lot of times we get asked about the age in the first interactions, but sometimes we do. And then instead of just saying how old you are, for example, when people ask me, instead of saying I'm 25, they'd be like, okay, guess my age. It's just this awkward thing of them thinking and then looking at you, and then they're saying a number, trying not to offend you. I just think it's very boring. Your age is nothing interesting. It's just a number. It's nothing interesting about you. And a lot of people use that for their ego boost, because they want to be considered younger, that they're looking younger than they actually are. When I get to guess people's age, because I don't want to offend them, most people feel offended if you guess them older. I guess them younger than I actually think they are. So it's awkward, you know, just don't make people guess. The people that ask you to guess their age normally also are the people that feel offended if you guess them older than they are, so it's not a good thing to do. The next time you meet someone new, don't do these 3 things. So show genuine interest, answer simply to a simple question. If they ask you more, then you can elaborate, for example, with where you're from. And don't do the guessing game on the age. The age is nothing interesting. These are things where you try to make yourself look interesting, but honestly, not your age, not which country you were born in is the most interesting about you. What's interesting about you is your personality, your interests, the things that you do. And these are the things that you can talk more about, because then you get to find commonality, you get to find out more about the other person, and you're not just talking solely about yourself. It makes you look really self-centered, boring, not interesting, and just very flat. That sounded so mean, but to be honest, I'm 100% guilty of all 3 of those. That's why I'm sharing that with you. Yeah, that's one thing that I learned that I'm not gonna continue doing, and I would encourage you to also reflect on that. Yeah, I hope that was helpful, because these are some things that I learned recently, and I hope that you got something out of it. Thanks for watching this video, and see you in the next one.